Could a single cyber assailant halt a nation's heartbeat? In 2007, Estonia, a tiny Baltic state with just 1.4 million people, awoke to that nightmare. Government websites, news portals, and even bank systems were suddenly swamped and knocked offline. As The Guardian reported, a 3-week wave of massive cyber attacks struck Estonia, the first known incidents of such an assault on a state. Citizens found ATMs dead, mobile phones silenced, and vital networks frozen. Who or what was behind this unprecedented digital siege? The answers lie in Estonia's dramatic spring of 2007. Before 2007, Estonia was a model digital society. Nearly every civic task could be done online, from banking to voting. But this wiring of everyday life created a vulnerability. In April 2007, tensions exploded over the relocation of the Bronze Soldier, a Soviet-era war memorial in Tallinn. The Estonian government decided to move the statue and reburied Soviet war dead, outraging many of Estonia's large Russian-speaking minority. This act sparked mass protests and street riots from April 26 to 27. Estonians said these moves were necessary, and to many Russian speakers they were provocative. Either way, as one observer noted, the protests set the scene. It was the first time this had happened, and it was very important that Estonia had experienced this type of attack, because it tested Estonia's high-tech defenses for the first time. In the days after the Bronze Soldier was moved, a parallel battle quietly began to build online. Initially it was small, more like digital graffiti than war, but then it escalated. By late April, something remarkable was happening behind the scenes. April 26 to 27, 2007. As excavation crews began moving the Bronze Soldier, Estonian networks saw their first odd traffic spikes. That evening, low-level denial of service ping floods started hitting minor government and media websites. Experts later noted that the very day the statue went under construction, digital probes began. May 4th to 9th, 2007. In the first week of May, the attacks turned huge and well-coordinated. As Stratcom analysts report, a much more sophisticated assault began on May 4th and peaked on May 9th, Victory Day in Russia. On those symbolic dates, tens of thousands of computers worldwide bombarded Estonia's servers with traffic. The timing was no accident. Victory Day celebrations were in full swing in Moscow, and anti-Estonian rhetoric was rising. Peak of the siege. 3 waves of attack pummeled Estonia over roughly 22 days. By mid-May, the assault had dropped off, but not before inflicting chaos. One security review summarized the blitz. Government portals, ministries, news outlets, internet providers, and all major banks were targeted over 3 weeks. As one cyber analyst later noted, the capital was essentially cut off from the internet. Estonia even blocked all international web traffic, effectively shutting off the most wired country in Europe from the rest of the world. Each surge ratcheted up the pressure. Estonians watched in disbelief as their country's proud e-government systems groaned under the load. The key question hung in the air. Was this just a protest by tech-savvy activists, or something far more sinister? At the height of the crisis, Estonia's digital backbone appeared to crumble under a hidden onslaught. One report summarized the situation bluntly. In the spring of 2007, a cyber attack on Estonia blocked websites and paralyzed the country's entire internet infrastructure. In practical terms, this meant government websites and emails stopped working, broadcast media could not publish online, 2 of the country's largest banks saw transactions grind to a halt, and even mobile phone networks and ATM terminals froze up. Everyday life ground almost to a standstill. Imagine a Monday morning with no Google, no online maps, no ATMs, and no idea when it will end. The bank's headquarters in Tallinn resorted to manual bookkeeping and extra on-site staff. Shops had to take cash only. News organizations scrambled to publish updates on paper and via emergency radio because their websites were flooded and inaccessible. Hospitals, emergency services, and utilities, normally tied into the internet, ran backup plans, and staff even dusted off radios and pagers. Guardian reporters described the effect. Hundreds of thousands of hits bombarded Estonian websites in order to jam them and make them unusable. In essence, the cyber onslaught had blown a fuse in the digital circuitry of a nation. Behind the scenes, forensic logs showed the attacks coming from everywhere. Estonia's defense minister even noted that some of the malicious traffic could be traced back to IP addresses in Russia, including addresses belonging to state institutions. Nevertheless, most governments were publicly cautious. NATO cyber experts were dispatched to Tallinn, and leaders quietly discussed whether this could be considered an act of war. International headlines blared that this was the first major state-backed cyber warfare ever seen. Yet the attackers themselves remained elusive. Days after the siege began, the system of botnets, armies of hijacked home computers, kept flooding Estonia with requests. The Guardian reported Tallinn's estimate that at least 1 million computers had been used to launch an unprecedented wave of cyber attacks. In one telling moment, the Estonian government, desperate to stop the bleeding, briefly shut down its own connection to the global internet, an extreme measure in a nation often described as the most wired country in Europe. It worked. When domestic-only networks kicked in, the foreign onslaught lost its edge, and by late May, the attacks sputtered out. But the damage and fear had been done. When the dust settled, Estonia assessed a shocking truth. Its core services had been put at risk by an invisible enemy. Politicians and citizens reacted in alarm. President Toomas Ilves and other leaders immediately pointed to Russia, given the backdrop of the Bronze Soldier Row. NATO officials flew in to assist. Yet in public statements, Estonia's defense minister Jaak Aaviksoo later admitted he had no evidence linking the Kremlin to the attacks. Russia, of course, denied any role, calling Estonia's accusations unfounded. Many outside experts echoed this caution. One NATO cyber official simply said he won't point fingers, though it bore the hallmarks of something concerted. Legally, Estonia did score one small victory. In January 2008, a 20-year-old computer science student named Dmitry Galushkevich was arrested and charged for his role. He confessed to taking part in the denial of service storm, specifically admitting that he helped knock the Estonian Reform Party's website offline for 10 days, apparently to protest the Bronze Soldier move. Galushkevich was fined a few $1,000s and received no jail time, the first and only conviction in the case. But authorities could not pursue attackers believed to be in Russia or elsewhere, and Estonia's request for Russian legal help was flatly refused. In hindsight, some of the drama was almost surreal. A year later, Russian politician Sergei Markov stunned listeners by boasting that his assistant had carried out the cyber attack. He claimed the aide, an unnamed hacker, had acted out of nationalist zeal, without any direct Kremlin orders. Around the same time, Konstantin Goloskokov, a young commissar in the pro-Kremlin Nasha youth group, publicly claimed he had organized cyber attacks against Estonian government sites. He said he did it on his own initiative. In truth, most cybersecurity experts believe the scale of the assault went beyond lone wolves or amateurs, but Goloskokov's claim and Markov's admission became part of the tangled story, hints of involvement by fringe activists amid bigger state-like capabilities. Though the immediate chaos subsided, the 2007 cyber siege left a deep legacy. Estonia never fell apart, but the panic proved how serious cyber warfare could be. Within months, NATO and its allies acted on painful lessons. NATO held emergency talks on cyber defense, and in 2008 it inaugurated the Cooperative Cyber Defense Center of Excellence in Tallinn, a permanent research and training center set up as a direct result of the cyber attacks. NATO governments also began drafting rules. The infamous Tallinn Manual, completed in 2013, was born from discussions sparked by Estonia's case. The crisis forced a rethink of defense doctrines worldwide. In Estonia itself, the government poured resources into backup systems, cyber drills, and awareness training so that doctors, bankers, and officials could continue working even when the net went down. The attack also became a wake-up call globally. Analysts observed that the Blitz had exposed Estonia's vulnerabilities and led to significant strengthening of cyber defense capabilities in the EU and NATO. Other countries took note. Over the next few years, similar tactics surfaced against other targets, for example Georgia in 2008, and Ukraine's power grid in 2015, etc. In effect, Estonia's ordeal was an unintentional test case. A small country had weathered a cyber siege without literal bombs, proving that network resilience and international cooperation were essential. Politically, Estonia's relations with Russia hit a post-Soviet low, and the Bronze Soldier Row hardened attitudes on both sides. But the most enduring change was Estonia's own resolve. It doubled down on its tech leadership. Today, Estonia remains among the world's most advanced e-governments. Its people learn to trust in their digital ID and strong defense. As one NATO official later put it, "We have been lucky to survive this. Ways were found to eliminate the attacker." The episode stands as a lesson. In the modern world, war can indeed be fought with keystrokes, and even tiny hacktivists can shake the foundations of nations. The 2007 cyber attack on Estonia was a wake-up call. A cyber wave washed ashore in Europe. If this tale left you stunned, our next video digs even deeper into the shadowy world of digital warfare. How did hackers black out Ukrainian cities in 2015? What about the Stuxnet virus that crippled Iranian centrifuges? We have more eye-opening episodes ahead. Do not miss out. Subscribe to join us next time as we unveil another true story where computer keystrokes pack the punch of 1,000 bombs.